Yeah, you got pitchers saying, "You're calling a ball on me? What'd I do? You're calling me a balk on me because I stepped a certain way on a pickoff move? Why is that a strike? What do you mean I can't step out of the box?" Mentally, the guys have to reset themselves. It's just a very different feel to the game. Now, we still got 4 more weeks of spring training, and I think they'll solve this by the last week of March, but it's really fascinating. 15-second pitch clock. Your name is Julio Urias, Dodgers ace. 4 times in his first outing. That's a ball.
Oh, wow.
Because he takes a long time to set.
Yeah.
And he looks and he sets. He really had a tough time. Jose Quintana, long-time starting pitcher, Cubs, White Sox, Cardinals, freaked out in a start over the weekend. 40 pitches in 1 inning, could not get settled on the mound because he kept looking at the clock.
Oh,
totally disengaged, unraveled, gave up 4 runs, 4 hits, walked 2 batters, and had 2 violations. I mean, so some of these guys are going through a bit of a learning curve. I like the pitch clock, the games. I've watched a bunch of different Cactus League and Grapefruit Circuit games on MLB TV. The pitchers are working really hard at it, but you can't let the clock, which they can see off to the side of home plate, you can't let the clock get into your psyche, into your mind. So that's an interesting story. Batter's box. This has taken some getting used to. Whatever your walk-up theme to come to home plate with a bat in your hand, John, they're not going to be able to play much music on the way to the plate.
Right.
Get your butt in the batter's box. And by the way, none of this adjusting gloves between every pitch. Guys are struggling. The Padres, Nelson Cruz, Manny Machado, and one other guy all got strikes called on them because you got to be in the box with 8 seconds left on the clock, ready for the delivery. It's a big issue, but they'll get used to it. But, these guys have made a culture of taking their time and strutting and looking at the third base coach. And that's nobody's talked about the challenge of the third base coach. Flash those signs in. You got to get them in. Going to be fascinating to see if this becomes an issue. I wonder how Mike Hargrove, the human rain delay, would have liked the pitch clock and the pace of play, new rules that are out there. Pickoff attempts. You can only throw over there twice. Stolen bases have really jumped. I'll give you some statistics in a minute. Stolen bases have really jumped in the first weekend full of exhibition games because you can only look over there and go there twice, and that's it. I think base runners, speed base runners, a la the Ricky Hendersons of the world, they're going to psych out pitchers. Good pitchers got to pay attention to the clock, and now pitchers got to pay attention to the guy leading off first base. Do I throw? When do I throw? Don't I throw? You got to concentrate on the batter. Mind games. This is going to bear watching. I do think stolen bases are probably going to wind up going up this year. The ban on the shift. Guys are getting called for this. Think about this. Last couple of years, load the left side of the infield to stop guys from the left-handed batters from driving it through. Put guys out in short right field. Shift really changed baseball's offenses. This year, nobody's violated it by being on the wrong side of second base. New rule is 2 guys on one side of second base, 2 guys on the other. You can't cheat. However, the rule is, John Riley, you're my shortstop. You might be shading over towards second base, kind of a mini shift. John, your cleats are on the grass. That's a ball. You can't get off the dirt. You have to be on the infield dirt, even if you're shading towards second base.
Wow.
So some of the shortstops have been caught cheating. And one thing that baseball never paid any attention to, and it's happened once or twice so far in games in Florida, you can redeploy your outfielders. Now you got 3 guys in the Garden. You could take your left fielder if you wish, and you could move him into short right field, which gives you an extra fielder to try to stop the guy driving a ball through the right side. However, that leaves a gaping hole and a lot of real estate for your center fielder to cover foul line to center field because the right fielder's become an extra guy on this side.
Oh, wow.
Nobody's addressed that in Major League Baseball. Did you mean to let this slip through the cracks that teams could still cheat and have an extra guy in shallow right field? So that bears watching too. Pitching motion. When you come ready to pitch on the mound, you can't rock. You can't start a false motion to try to deceive the batter. Mike Clevenger?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. You think?
Yeah.
Luis Garcia,
Yeah.
Padres setup guy?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You can't do that anymore. And I think the guys who have this style, you talk about resetting themselves, rebuilding their pitching mechanics. This bears watching. Does this screw some guys up who've made a career of doing this before the pitch? You can't do it anymore.
Wow.
So keep an eye on that. And one other note, schedule changes. We've not had a lot of discussion. I like this idea. I don't know if you're a Boston Red Sox fan, Oriole fan, whatever. You used to play 19 games within your division. Should get 19 times for a Padre fan to hate Dodger fan and dislike Giant fan and all that other. Well, now, because they want a balanced schedule, everybody plays everybody. I mean, it's really cool. For the 3 Detroit Tiger fans that live here, you'll get to see the Tigers maybe come to Petco Park, or Cleveland Guardian fans or whomever. But it only means 13 games to hate on the Dodgers, the Giants, the Diamondbacks, and the Rockies. I like that balanced schedule. All right, let me throw you a stat here because I've talked a lot. Just let me give you an update. The pace of play game rules that the commissioners forced in. Spring training games first weekend last year. Games took 3 hours, 1 minute. Spring training games this year, first full weekend, Grapefruit Circuit Cactus League, 2 hours and 38 minutes.
Wow.
That's pretty impressive.
That's a big difference.
Yeah. And if we were living in the Randy Jones era, we'd probably have a game done in 68 minutes.
The
way he worked with the new rules. So that's interesting. And batting averages with the ban of the shift, the batting averages in the first week of spring training last year were 259. That's a cumulative of all the games played in spring training that first full week. Batting averages this first full week, 272.
Wow.
Boom, a little bit more offense. Okay, so I threw a lot on your plate. Go ahead, tell me about the rules you like, the ones you don't like, the pitchers and their psyche, and the base runners, and go ahead.
There's a lot there. So, well, first of all, the whole Velcro batting glove thing, I blame Nomar Garciaparra. Because he was the one that I remember is the first one that did it. And now they're constantly wearing out the Velcro. So interesting. They're going to pick up that pace of play. I like it. One thing that I saw today in my Twitter feed, which was unbelievable, was the Yankees were playing the Pirates. And what's his name? Wandy Peralta was pitching for the Yankees. And what's the guy's name? He used to be a Padre, Marciano, Tucapita Marcano, was pitching or batting for the Pirates. Wandy Peralta quick pitched 3 pitches in a row and struck him out in 27 seconds.
Wow.
So as soon as he got the ball back from the catcher, he set up and threw. I mean, it was that fast. And so the batter could never get set. So now you're seeing the pendulum swing all the way the other way, so now the pitchers can make the batters uncomfortable. So there's going to be a lot of this gamesmanship as this thing plays out. I'm fascinated by this. I'm a big fan of all these rule changes because I think that it's going to make the game more appealing to sort of the, non-serious fans, people that are just learning about the sport. And I think it's going to make it even more exciting for us longtime baseball guys.
I think there'll be more oomph, more offense in the game, more base stealing in the game, which I think people like.
Yeah.
I'll go you one farther, aside from the Pirate Yankee incident. You're at home plate. Get your butt in the batter's box. You're facing Max Scherzer, Mets. You're facing Justin Verlander.
Mm-hmm.
They're ready to pitch, and you're in the box because you got to be in the box because they're ready to pitch.
Mm-hmm.
And they make you sit there, and they run the whole 15 seconds off the clock before Scherzer actually goes into his motion to deliver the ball. Now you got an uncomfortable batter in the box who's had to stay there, hyped, ready.
Mm-hmm.
Wait. And historically, the guy says, time, get out of the batter's box.
Right.
So now you got veteran pitchers using the clock to psych out John Riley in the batter's box.
It's going to be great, and the shot, in basketball, the shot clock was an improvement on the game. This is kind of like a shot clock. So all of these changes are interesting. And to your other point, man, I love Ricky Henderson. He's like my favorite baseball player of all time. Partially what he says off the field as much as how he performed on it. But let's see some more base running. I mean, Tatis already stole a base for the Padres. Padres have a lot of guys that can run. So let's fire up the engines. Let's get a little bit of Whitey Herzog from the 80s.
Yeah, I think there's some dynamics to baseball once we get to the start of the regular season we'll pay attention to.